it was a great show tonight, even on the takeovers. Just great stuff. I would like to ask about LA Knight, the former Eli Drake. Just kind of what went into getting him on board, who brought him on board, and what you see as maybe his feeling is.
I don't think that there's a ceiling on anybody. When they walk in the door, I kind of reevaluate everybody or evaluate everybody as they're walking in the door of my hope is that all of them have the potential at one point in time to garner whatever they need to become as big of a performer as they can be here. I've been a fan of his since he was here the first time. And there's a lot of reasons, and on his side and our side, as to why that didn't work out that time. But I was a fan of his then. I was a fan of his work and his promo skills and everything else as he went along his journey. And I've always thought when the time was right, he'd be great here. And the time was right. And phone calls were made, and interest was on both sides, and it just went from there. And it was smooth and easy. He wants to be in a place where he can have the biggest platform in the world that's here, and I want to give it to him. So we're gonna run with it and see where we can go, and there is no ceiling.
All right, thanks so much for the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Sean Ross Sapp with Fightful.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking the time. You mentioned the table spot that unfortunately went awry earlier. What was sort of your reaction to that, and how do you think that the women recovered in that spot? It seems like they didn't really miss a beat considering what we saw Io Shirai do right after that.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They're pros. All three of them are pros. They didn't miss a beat. They went right on. It's a funny thing that stuff happens. You've got to be able to roll with the punches, and they did it. They did it seamlessly, and I thought it worked tremendously. But they had a great match. No matter what you do, things are never going to go exactly as you plan, unless you're extremely, extremely lucky. And even then, it's why to me the best performers are always the ones that can ad-lib and do things on the fly and just roll with stuff and react to it and be in the moment. That's when it's the best, when things are just, ABC all the way through. If something does go awry, for some of those people, it can be really hard to adjust, and they did it seamlessly, so my hat's off to them. Just one of those things, right? In that moment, there's nothing for me other than just hating the fact that, and somehow you feel like, there's nothing you can do about it, right? But you feel terrible, right? You want to be able to give them everything you can and have them succeed, and you know what it's like when that stuff happens. So you hate it for them, but it just is what it is, and they're pros, so they move on.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Nick Hossman with Wrestling Inc.
Hi, Paul. Thank you very much for taking the time. Hi, thank you. My question is with the WWE Network headed to Peacock, are we going to get the same amount of takeovers each year? Is that going to affect the amounts of volume in any way?
No, that is the plan right now. Obviously, new partners and a platform, but yeah, the content and the delivery of content and everything else is still a WWE. It's a WWE product and WWE's process. So will that change at some point? Will there be more or less? No different. We're always going to evaluate no different than we would at any other point in time. So, but that is the plan, is to keep going. And the beautiful thing about Peacock is there's a lot of eyeballs potentially.
Sure. Well, all right. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Nick.
And our next question will come from Jason Powell with ProWrestling.net.
Joe Sleep Wade Bear, that Phoenix have done so far?
I think they're doing great. You know, first of all, just let me say that I think Morrow was phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of his, continue to be a huge fan of his. You know, circumstances were just right for both sides, given everything that was happening in a pandemic world, to go in the directions we did. But I want to say that I'm a huge fan of Morrow across the board, and happy that he's continuing to do the things that he is doing and have the success that he does. We stay in touch, and he's a good friend. So, but you know, on the other side of that, the dynamic of Vic, Beth, and Wade that I'm thrilled with. Vic is coming into his own, and it's tough. You know, you come in here and you're kind of shown a WWE way and taught a certain thing, and you're trying to find your voice, and then, you know, a pandemic hits and you get into the mode that you get in, and for a while he's here by himself, and he's got, you know, people, you know, from their homes doing it with him. You know, I don't know that a lot of people even realize that Morrow, you know, when people couldn't travel, Morrow was home. You know, we were able to arrange it where he could do commentary from home. Beth was from home. They were calling it live seamlessly on the air, but it's hard, and it's very, very difficult. Once, you know, and only recently in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think it is, I don't know, time travels fast, but, you know, Beth was able to, schedule-wise, be able to be back here in person. And, man, since that time, I thought they had a good rhythm going. I can't say enough good stuff about Wade. I was a big fan of his when he was working with us. I was a big fan of his watching what he did outside of here and his commentary. And I always meant there was always a part of me that, and I said this to him, you know, I always was a fan of it and wanted to get him here, and the timing wasn't right. And then the timing was right, and I was like, oh, this is great. Got him here, and he hasn't disappointed. He's a pro's pro. He just has a knack for it and a feel for it. Vic is really now coming into his own, and so is Beth, especially being here. So difficult to do from a distance. But being here, what I love about it is they come across as 3 people that genuinely like each other, like they would if it was 3 friends sitting on a couch watching the show and having a good time bantering with each other, even though one of them's calling play-by-play. You know, but it just comes across as enjoyable and fun. They get into the product. They're excited. I love it. You know, I think it's different vibe from Raw. It's a different vibe from SmackDown, but it's NXT's vibe, and I'm really enjoying what they're doing and think they've come a long way and are doing a phenomenal job. Hopefully everybody else does too.
All right, folks, we'll do 2 more and we'll call it a night.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Bill Pritchard with WrestleZone.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Not too bad. Good show tonight. Somebody already touched on it earlier in the call about bringing MSK in and kind of getting them on TV a little sooner than we would normally expect. They've really done a good job of not only getting some energy going on the show, but the tag team division itself. It seems like, you know, they've really boosted it and almost seems like a return to form. So what can you say about just, besides how quickly they've adapted, you know, what else did you really notice about them and just having them on NXT in such a short amount of time?
So the moment I met them, from them coming in here and having a tryout with us, and I talked to them for a period of time, and it's everything that I obviously the people here in NXT and the PC are just they're the eyes and ears, right? And Matt Bloom, Sarah Amato, this whole team here, Sean, everybody that's here, all the coaches, I trust their opinions. So when they're talking to these people and they're saying, hey, these 2 are pros, these 2 are sponges, these 2, man, you tell them something, they got it, they have an instinct for it, to it, you know, part of being coached is wanting to be coached. You know, and it's a funny thing to me. I hear sometimes people talk about, well, just letting people do things, and they don't need to be coached, or they don't need to be written for, they don't need to be produced. I cannot disagree with that any stronger. Look, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback, arguably, in the history of football. It's like saying he doesn't need to be coached. Right? Like, they give you more coaches, they give you more help, they give you more things. Now, somebody like that, you know, can take things to another level, but everybody needs to be coached. Everybody needs to be produced. To when Vince McMahon is in a scene backstage back years ago, he wanted somebody else to produce him, and to coach him and to get him there. It is the truth of what we do, and it is the truth of life, in my opinion. To think otherwise is ego. And when you're open to it, when you're a sponge to it, when you are just willing to take, and not every opinion you get is right, but to take them, digest them, try them on, see what works honestly and openly, and see what works and what doesn't. And I can't say it enough. That is those kids. MSK to a T. That is them. And it's why they've succeeded to the level that they have. When they walked in the door, we gave them just a whiff of an opportunity, and they grabbed it. And it was a breath of fresh air. They were the spark, but like then you talk about, okay, well, GYV to me are one of the most technically sound teams, and from a heel standpoint, just, man, they're just there. So, you know, we were just at a point where we were rolling them in here in the U.S. and they got stuck overseas. You know, there was a lot of things that happened in moments where things got stuck where they were, and then as they began to loosen up, the timing was right for everything. So you roll it all together, and the best plans, but then sometimes you get lucky too, and you get lightning in a bottle, and I feel like it's what we're getting right now. And, you know, again, to your point, back to form on the tag team division. It's exciting. You see MSK, Legato, Oni and Danny, GYV, MSK. Geez, you know, I got so excited I'm knocking stuff over. You know, man, it's a division that you look at and you go like, holy cow. I'll take any one of those guys. So it's exciting.
Thanks very much for your time.
And we'll take a question from Michael Morales with Lucha Libre Online.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations for a great event. In NXT, we have some Latin talents like Mercedes Martinez, Legado, and Fantasma, and recently the increase was added to the World roster. My question is, how far or close are we from seeing an NXT Latin American brand?
Well, you know, I agree with you that we have a lot of Latino talent and you know, across the board on all brands, and whether you're talking about, you know, next level talent like Andrade, you're talking about, you know, Humberto Carrillo, Angel Garza. When you get past that, you know, Lince Dorado and Metallic, and you come here and you have all the people you mentioned, Santos Escobar, you know, Raul and Joaquin. Like, there's just so many talent. So if you look at it in that manner, could we be very close to a Latino brand? Absolutely. But the timing's got to be right for it, and the timing has to be right in the world. And given all the circumstances of pandemics and everything else, that makes that challenge more difficult. But it's still a goal. I've talked about that a lot of times in, you know, whether it be business partner summits or anything like that. The goal is still the same, as you saw with the Superstar Spectacle for India. The intent to grow and have localized content and brands in India, to have that in other markets as well, much like we have done in the UK. the UK, I feel like we're just nicking the surface of where it's going to go. There's massive opportunity there. The timing just has to be right to do it, and we're going to evaluate that. But when we do it, we're going to do it right and do it big. It doesn't make sense to just do it to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll do one more. We'll do one more if you have one ready.
At this time, there are no further questions, but once
Okay,
again...
great.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's great. I just want to thank everybody from coming on. I really appreciate the time. I know at the late hours sometimes it's hard to get the international media on the line, but please feel free to reach out to Adam if you need anything or if you have any questions or something that I can answer for you. But thank you again for being a part of this, the support, and I look forward to talking to you all next time as we head into the road to WrestleMania, which I'm sure is going to be spectacular for everybody involved, including NXT. So stay tuned.
Thanks, everybody. Be safe and have a great night.